Hey guys, Harry here, back again with another Bricklaying vlog. We're on part 5. It's one of those series again where I make about 8 parts. Anyway, I've got quite a lot of footage, so I might as well voice over it and talk about some different food for thought sort of thing, a few different topics. Today's video, we're on the third day now. We lost another few hours without any mortar. Luckily, we had a barrow on site, and Jamie managed to barrow me a couple of barrows worth of mortar down to get a corner up on top of some trestles. Yeah, I had some trestles set up from last video. If you saw the screenshot at the end of the video, if you watched that far, we ended up putting trestles up the back of the garage so I could reach wall plate height there, and then when we finally got the mortar finally arrived, it had been sat there for a while, so we got the same again. We had two tubs arrive, and we had one that was basically going stiff, so we used that as much of that as we could, and then I was basically using the wet stuff we got again, so we had the same thing again, using old mortar really. Everything had been sat there for over an hour, more closer to 2 to 3 hours, some of the tubs, so it's a miracle it was even usable, but it was still, I got it really pissed when it came out, so ideal for a long spread. Today I'm doing some long spread, front and back tipping. I was going to get Jamie spreading on this run, but it was pretty short and I was basically flying through the work because we had that big rack back taking up most of the gable. Also, we've got the 3 profile setup that you've seen me do before on the first part of this build. All I did here, because the concrete was flush with the bricks that were already set out in the footing for the pillar, I just hammered a couple of nails in to the corner of where one of the plumb points was for the pillar. Lent the profile aluminium up to those 2 nails, trapped a block behind the profile. Really, I made a little bit of a mistake. I should have really laid the first course freehand and then trapped the profile up to the first course freehand, made sure it was all square. But I ended up basically trapping it behind the nail, and then the second course I put up to the pillar was about 4 or 5 mil big, so it had a slightly thicker joint in between the the pillar, on the pillar than I would have liked. So really, I should just put a brick there. I should have just sort of rested a brick there and just trapped the profile standing on its own. The only reason this didn't kind of work is because I've got an end cap. I've got an end cap on that particular profile, so it made it so the profile wanted to move around a bit at the bottom. So that's why you can see me. I've got 2 solid blocks trapping that aluminium. Obviously, I always carry 4 with me on sites these days. I only used to use 2 in some of the earlier videos on the channel, but I've found the utilization of big corners a massive, a bit of a game changer really. I've seen guys do it before, building big tail outs with profiles. Never really saw the application for them because of the manner they did them in, and I never really saw the application of it because I always saw the people I always saw doing it were 2 bricklayers. So I was thinking, why would you do that as like a 2-on-1 gang when you might as well just run the full gable in if there's 2 of you. Whereas if you do big corners and there's 1 of you spread, especially in summer when the runs are when the bricks are dry, and you've got you don't want a long flank going off with a lot of jointing. The big corners, utilization of that is massive. Is to reduce your jointing. That's the big thing why I do it on garages as well, is because obviously there is Jamie joint in the back, but he's not quick enough to be able to joint the back and front yet. It's something that's going to take time and practice, but when we do ever get on a garage again, when the old man's working with us, I can see having them both jointing really as I start crashing in the work, because I've had a look how long this garage took me and how many bricks I got laid with the time that, even with all the time I lost without any mortar, because of the profile setups I've had. If I had 2 people jointing and I could carry on laying bricks, I could easily smash through, 700-800 bricks, maybe more, close to 900 actually, with 2 labourers, looking after me, the old man and Jamie. And it's definitely possible if we had, the right forklift and stuff, and that'd easily cover both wages, and give me a good super day, you know what I mean, especially with these prices that they're paying now. I've got another topic I want to touch on today. In this video, obviously this is the Wednesday, but this was my last week working for the subby I'm working for. They just sort of run out of work for us since I've got like sort of an extra bloke working with me now, obviously Jamie, and then the old man's coming back periodically when we need him. And I'm getting through, I just saw what I'd done this week, I'm getting through a lot more work. It's weird how much having someone with you full time speeds you up. I don't know if it's a mental thing, or you can get loaded out in front, or it's like, you just, things move smoother. I'm a big believer of, if you've always got someone labouring on you looking after you, your speed increases on the trowel because you're not fatiguing yourself through the week lifting gear. Obviously we've had to lift a bit of gear with barrows and stuff, like I'd get a barrow motor in the morning, he'd barrow a couple before the tub arrived at like 10 o'clock. He'd be getting most of the gear, I'd just be sort of showing him how to stack the bricks or setting a couple of stacks out where I wanted them. But I only did that for the first day. I don't even think I did it on this garage. I think I did it for the first day he was working with me. That was about it, and he knew where to put them after that. The only thing sort of I was lifting was probably mortarboards, moving mortarboards around. So I have been tempted to get some plastic ones, but for the price of them, they're just dear. But I'm going to look on eBay, I'm going to look into it, because I'm going to get a couple of metal, mortarboard standers as well, because my wooden ones, these two that I'm using right now are, they're dead on, they're awesome, but one's broke because I didn't make it very well, and I've got to make some more, but I can't really justify the time making them, because I was like working out how much time it took me to make one of them, and I could easily make that money back just laying bricks in the time. I could buy basically 3 stands and make the money back laying in about an hour and a half or so, instead of spending an hour and a half making one wooden one that doesn't last very long. So that's why the reason I'm going to buy them, because I've had that comment before, you could easily make the money back in half a shift for all your mortarboard stands and your mortarboards, just to make your life easier. And that's people are correct saying that, especially if you're working on good runs of work, and it is what it is at the end of the day. But back on houses next week. If I hadn't already said, it's a van site. I went and checked it out. They're all square boxes, just a banding course, just above floor and just below downstairs windows. So dead easy really from what I can see. I'm going to do more videos on that. Probably just going to be doing a bit of third person filming. So putting the GoPro, it's that small you can't even notice it. It just looks like a pack of fags. So cigarettes for all you non-English, non-British. Fag means cigarette, not derogatory homosexual term. Anyway, that is basically what I want to talk about there. And then my next topic, it's not really going to be, this isn't going to be this video specifically, but I'm going to do a video on booking in. I'm going to do a video on how to write like a proper invoice for when you're working as either a subby or you're doing a private job. Obviously, I'm not going to be going into like, how to, price your materials and stuff, because I don't really have a lot of experience doing that. I don't do private work. I just like the relatively stress-free environment of site work. Turn up, get a day's graft in, go home, and a good crust. So I'm going to show you how I book in, and sort of a really organised, comprehensive way to book in. So wherever you work, they can't mix up. You'll make sure everything you book in gets paid. I've seen guys do it in loads of different fucking weird ways, And it baffles me every time I see people's booking in, and I think that doesn't make any sense. How do you even get your wages every week? And there's I'm gonna get my camera out, either my phone camera or whatever, and I'm gonna get a big piece of like A2 and a marker pen and sort of write out how I book in and stuff. Obviously, a lot of the time it's all done over email or text these days. So I will be obviously I'll just be showing you in sort of easy to understand form on some paper just to show you. But obviously this is what I do in my iPhone notes. So I've got my booking in for the last fucking 3 years on my iPhone, ever since I had the iPhone really. So I can go back probably 5 years, and my booking-ins changed massively in the last few years, and that is the way I like to structure it, so it's easy to understand for the whichever sub you're working for or whichever company you're working for if you're working direct. And that's what I'm going to talk about, especially when it comes to either booking into how you organise a lift, whether it's a lift on price, or you're getting a price from damp to floor, or from floor to wall plate, or you're doing it on strictly just measure. Basically how I like to count up in a day and stuff like that, how I like to, obviously majority of the time I've been building like garages, walls and stuff. I've just done it on straight measure of how, of what bricks I lay, what blocks, what, details, sort of where it comes to core walls. There's an extra, so you get a set price per core wall, set price for lintel, set price for, what else could I think, if you're doing a cut up and you have to hammer ties into a smart roof, price per tie. But a lot of the time you'll go to firms and you just get a price per measurement. So you might get a price per 675 of a wall. So, and then if you're doing like a retaining wall, or you might get a price per footing. So if you're doing a footing, and then the price they might get a set price for the footing, on whatever depth it is, or you might get, obviously if you're on plots, you get I've heard of people getting lift prices, so you might get price up to first lift to scaffold down from damp. I know there's weird ways, there's weird ways people book it, organise the booking in, but I know I've been ripped off before on, when I've been given a lift, lift price from basically damp to floor. I've been basically told it's a certain price per thousand and a certain price per square metre of block work, and then I've got the lift price and it's nothing like that price. So this is what you've got to be wary of if you go into new firms. Count your drawings up. I'm going to make a video on that as well, because that's something I'll be doing when I go to this new firm working. I'll be counting up the drawings we get, making sure the lift price matches up with the measure, which will be quite easy because there's hardly any detail in these houses. So that sort of banding brick that goes around the houses on these event houses, I'll just count that as a regular brick, even though it is a contrasting sort of, it's meant to be an extra. But I'll presume if I count up a drawing, it'll be basically to the brick when it comes to square metre on the block work and, amount of bricks that's in a lift sort of thing. You can easily do it by calculating the square metre of bricks. So normally people calculate, 50 bricks per square metre. I'm sure it is. It might even be 45. I'll have to Google it to be quite honest. But you normally just calculate the square metre of bricks. So say you've got a gable, you measure the length of it, then if you find your floor height, so that might be, if it's say your door height's 100 or something like that, or 225, and then I forgot standard heights of houses because I've been working at Red Row where they have higher ceilings, but it normally works like 9, 10 and a brick or something. There's normally a floor height, something like that. 10, so 10 times that's 225, so 2.3 meters, I think, something like that. So you just say you calculate your gable, so your gable might be, I don't know, 8 meters long, something like that. I'm just roughly guessing here. That's 225 times 10, that's 2.25 meters. So yeah, so say your gable's like 9 meters, and then you do 9 meters times 2.3. So I could do a quick bit of math in my head because I'm quite good at, just working out stuff in my mind. So 9 meters times 2, so that's 18, 2.3, so 19.6. So you could say, right, that's 19.6 square meters of brickwork. And there's 50 bricks in a square meter. That should be 19 times 50, sort of thing, 19.6 times 50. So let's call it 20 times 50. 10 times 50 is 500. So say there's 1,000 bricks in a gable, for instance. You need to make sure, you look at both gables, sort of exclude the meter boxes, just count straight through those, and then just make sure, you look at back both gables, is it is the 2,000 bricks worth of price there on both gables, and you add up your front and your back, and that can be done the same. Then just subtract the amount of bricks out of your windows. So say you have like a 1050 by 1200 or something like that. Just subtract, say 2 windows at that square meterage. It's quite easy to do. It just takes a little bit of math. It can be easily done with calculators. I just did a small example, so you can easily calculate 2 gables, a back and a front, pretty quickly, and then work out that your lift price is correct. Normally, you'll be basically getting nothing for your lintels and nothing for your damps. So just expect your brick, hopefully the price should be more than the exact measure. It should be, at least £100, or if not, more than the actual measure. That's to account for your window formers, lintels, damps, and contrasting head bricks and stuff like that. But it's very rare that actually is the case. You're sometimes just building it. You're building it for just basically solid measure. So for your soldiers, you'll just be getting paid regular normal brick price. For your, for any lintels, they'll basically be within the price as well. You'll be putting them on for free. So that's sort of the downside of doing plots, which I've been stung with before, back when the prices weren't as good and I was working for some dodgy outfits. I got given a different price. I got given a different price on a semi-detached from the gang across from me, and it made me want to stay away from doing supers for a while on the plot side, on the housing side. That's why I stuck to footings for a while. I did obviously garden walls. I specifically said when I did come to this firm years ago, I said I just want to do garden walls, footings and garages. I'm not interested in doing plots. I said, I did actually say red row ball acres, that's what I said years ago. And, now I'm having another go. Obviously a lot more experience, a lot quicker. Price is a lot better, obviously, than 4 or 5 years ago. And, I just want to give it a go again, since I've got, 2 people looking after me now. Old man, Jamie, he's coming on slowly, with the trowel work. And basically just trying a different type of house. That's the top and bottom of it. But that's basically what I'm going to be doing. Obviously the booking in video is going to be a bit of like one of the things you don't see a lot of YouTubers talking about. It's a massive thing. It's a massive thing that can really get in your head. Especially when I was younger, when I was around 21, literally if I was working and I didn't used to count what I was doing every day. Luckily now, I'm wiser. I know what the crack is. I can basically look at an house and get a lift price and basically say if that's the correct lift price or not. I've squared a lot of lifts up on measure before, on plots. Basically the shittest sort of work you can do. If you're squaring someone else's plot up on measure, you're basically doing whoever you're working for a favour. And I've done that quite a few times. Managed to make some money doing it, but that's now where we'll be hopefully starting a fresh plot. I don't want to be taking over anyone else's work, and then we'll see. We'll go from there and we'll see if the prices are true to what they're advertising, because it's a very different thing that you see on Facebook than what you actually get when you're in person. It has been known. It's been known to happen a lot of time. But especially with the climate now, where there isn't any bricklayers, a lot of the shit's had to be dropped. They've pissed generation after generation of bricklayers off. as successive, as a lot of subbies over the years, different firms, not the one I work for, I mean, but just subbies in general. And it's got to a point now where a lot of guys just do private work, and they don't want to go on site because of some of the the fast ones they try and pull. And it is something that it does tarnish the industry, really. People should get paid for the work. If you've laid if you've laid the measure's there, it's gauge level pump to spec, all your windows in the right place, neat, tidy, you should be paid. And unfortunately, that sometimes it isn't what it isn't always what it says on the tin. You know what I mean? So something I'm going to be sort of going through this channel. Keeping it transparent. Stuff like that, because that's what I'm all about. I hear too much bullshit in this trade over the years. There's loads of people, saying what they earn or what they can lay, and it shouldn't. You should just fucking tell people. You should tell people. You know what I mean? I've seen videos out there of people, people have asked, certain people on YouTube get asked what they get paid per 1,000, and they say, say a number, and it's very, very, very far from the truth. But it's just how it is. People like that, you know what I mean? It is sort of systemic in the trade, If you don't talk bollocks, you're a bit out of the norm. Do you know what I mean? If you're literally an honest, normal, upstanding bloke, you're sort of one on your own in the self-employed bricklaying world a lot of the time, not just bricklayers, all trades are the same, but it is a few and far between nice, honest, hard-working blokes. There is not many of us left, so hopefully this is what I hope to bring on the channel, is try to set an example for people, for the newer generation, or even make a few of the older guys look what they've done over the years, and look how they treat people, or look how they go about work, and maybe change the way of doing things. Like with me, this was my last job working for this subby this week. I said to him, right, yeah, let him know a week in advance that I was just going to make this my last job. I'm going to got a site close to home, etc. And they were they thanked us with open arms, saying, yeah, great work, thanks for letting us know, all the pleasantries. And and I do not doubt that that when when my wage goes in next week, it'll be completely correct to what it normally is. So there is a big stigma in bricklaying where when gangs leave a firm, they get the last week's wages skanked off of them, and it's happened to me before. It's happened to me multiple times, in fact, but never has at this firm and I've worked for, and I don't think to this time will be any different, because if you're hardworking, do a good job, honest, people know that, people sense that, and you normally get treated right. So that's just sort of my 2 cents on the matter. But people, I'm because I'm a 1 and 2 now, should I say? I deal with people face to face all the time. When I talk to people, I'm honest, and they know I'm honest because I don't talk rubbish. And it's just you get treated a different way if you sort of treat people with how you'd want to be treated yourself. People can normally see that, and it just it just takes a little bit more effort in your day to be just a little bit more considerate, or just a little bit more, compose yourself a little bit more when you speak to people. And it's just, I think a lot of the time it's that confidence that you've got to have. There is a massive thing out there with either bricklayers. It's not just bricklayers, it's any trades, and a lot of guys out there, a lot of grown men and stuff, they just don't have the confidence to just say this is what I think, or this is or how to speak to people right. There's a big massive bit of like a social inept society we have these days with texting, Facebook, stuff like that. People just don't know how to act. People don't know how to be proper blokes. There's not a lot of proper blokes out there anymore. Proper gentlemen, and it's sad really, because you come against I find it mostly in site managers. You find a lot of site managers, they're meant to be good with dealing with people. You're managing men all day long, and you find that you come against, you know, imagine not all site managers, just, you know, some who, you know, they have terrible people skills, and, you know, you struggle to work with people like that because the communication isn't there with a lot of them. And that's what I find on sites where I'm having to deal with people, and I'll come across someone who just has completely terrible people skills, and you think, you know, your job is to have good people skills and get people on side, you know, get people to do what you want them to do. But, you know, that's one thing that you have to have as working in a one-on-one, which isn't always desirable. Is you've got to have sort of good people skills, talking to people, negotiating, you know, sort of, you know, being able to cut through the layer of bollocks that you get fed by a lot of gaffers when you come onto a job and stuff like that, and just be able to, you know, problem solve on the fly, to say, you know, hold up, no, I think it needs to be like this, or is this how you want it doing, you know, communicating the right information. That's a big deal, you know. There's a lot of time, you know, I'll go up and ask someone, right, how do you want it doing, and then they'll just not know how to communicate that message. So this is one of the things, you know, that I've found it's one of the massive cons of being a one-on-one, is you have to do all the people skills, all the talking, all the fucking negotiating for the gang, because, you know, like, obviously my old man has nothing to do with any of the charge hands on site and stuff like that. You know, it's all me, and it is a downside of being a one-on-one in a sense. Unless you love chatting rubbish, then you'd get well in there, you know. So, but I'm not a fan, you know. I'm here to do a job, and, you know, I just want to turn up, have a chilled out day, and carry on and run into as less problems as possible. So yeah, but yeah, that's sort of the video today. I was laying today, obviously traditional long spread, no grooves, you know, front and back tip. You know, it's pretty quick. I'll tell you what, you know, doesn't feel, you know, I don't enjoy laying bricks that way as much as I do pick and dip, because I like, you know, pick and dip feels cool. I don't know what it is, maybe it's just a newer way that I've been laying bricks, but I do like pick and dip. So the bricks I'm going to be laying next week, I think the Marshalls, they're basically a common with a face. I've laid them before. They have a tendency to sink. They don't go off very quick, which is probably a plus side of those kind of bricks. But I think they'll lend themselves well to pick and dip. But from what I've seen on the site, there is trays, so I'm going to have to be mindful of cleaning them bastards all the time. Pick and dip, obviously, you know, it drops a lot of mortar down the cavity, so if not done correctly. So I'm going to be doing a few tips on how to limit that. You know, and these bricks that I've seen, from what I've seen, they have 3 little holes in, so that should help with pick and dip a little bit, you know. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to find out the brick type. These ones I was laying in this video are called Granger Autumns, like semi-engineering, but the bricks I'll be laying next week are more of a common, like laying a common. So it is something, they are probably pretty good to do, pick and dip, with thinking about it, but, you know, it's something I'll be looking into. Another thing I want to mention before I finish this video, it's quite a long one, so I'll be rambling on for a while, if you're setting profiles up, bring a drill. It doesn't have to be an SD drill. You know, like I've seen a few people on YouTube use. I think I've seen Stephen Knight's Brickwork use the SD drill, or for drilling mortar joints, or, you know, like Charlie Collison has his SD drill plus for his battery powered thing. A standard DeWalt combi drill or Makita combi drill will blitz through mortar joints on the hammer setting. Just turn your drill to hammer setting. I bet even a cheap drill would blitz through them. But, you know, a nice masonry, 10mm masonry drill bit, hammer setting, bust through mortar joints in no time. Something I'd definitely recommend if you're setting profiles up. It makes life so much easier. You can also, you know, drill the brick a little bit, so make the mortar joint a bit bigger to sort of accommodate get at least a nice 10mm of your F-clamp inside the mortar joint. They do some like knockoff sort of BT test style clamps on eBay now, like dedicated profile clamps, so you don't have to keep sliding them in and out. They're just like to a solid brick length, so I'd recommend those. I've also got some Dutch pins. I use these to build the pillars inside the garage. they work pretty well. I've never used Dutch pins before. I wasn't using them quite as good as I think I should have been using them, but definitely a good piece of kit to have, and I'll definitely be using them in the future for doing some profile setups, especially on the houses where we're using, I think it's thermals, I think it's 440 Celcom blocks, which is probably some of the easiest to lay ever, so I'll be using Dutch pins when it comes to setting, internal profiles up. I'll probably be just building corners on block work. I don't really see a point setting profiles up because obviously, I will be. I'll be using profiles because I don't know if they want me to build my block work first, so I'll be just setting them into the cavity and, just running in block work with Jamie. But yeah, so that's the plan. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this little, a few clips of me running this gable, and that's it. So it's, I hope, with the profile setup and stuff, I hope you guys have took something away from sort of how to build garages a little bit easier. It obviously depends on your gang size, how many bricklayers are working with you. But, it's definitely, it's easily a pleasurable building these big corners, and it does have a big difference on what brick you're laying. These bricks I was laying a lot easier to joint up than the last ones I was laying, with the frogs in. Same again, like your Marshall common brick, like your common looking bricks. They'll be easy to joint up as well. It all depends on your weather environments and stuff. But a big fan of this, front and back tip, no grooves. It's traditional, very quick. I think it's a good, even with spreading the mortar out, it's a good 7 or 8 bricks a minute. So it sort of matches my pick and dip speed. Probably a little bit faster on occasion. So yeah, definitely food for thought when you're laying at at below waist height and then up to basically waist height. And then when I get to sort of waist height, I normally turn to a sort of a pick and dip. I don't tend to do anything. When I'm reaching up or above sort of waist or chest height, I don't tend to really do any traditional. Then it's just all pick and dip work. I just find it easier. And also something I want to mention, if you've noticed while I've been building this pillar, because I've obviously got a profile set up, obviously lining in this big tail out / filling in the gable to the other corner. I don't build the pillar all the way around. As you can see, I rack it back, so I only tail around 2 or 3 bricks, and then I rack it all the way back until I've racked back half a brick and then to a full brick on the gable. Then I build it all in like two separate sort of runs. I do 5 or 6 course of gable, racking back, then I go to my pillar, chase that back round, and just find it a little bit easier. You can sort of work it to where, like, say, for instance, in this tight spot where I was working between the house and the garage, Jamie couldn't get in to keep topping my bricks up, so basically smashed in all the straight stuff for like 5, 6, 7 course. Got my stacks right down, and then I moved to the pillar out of his way, and then chased that around with a little level, and basically it allowed him to load back up again. That's basically how I'm working it. It does take a little bit of thinking through, and also, as you can see here, I'm knocking the muck up, and you're thinking, whoa, you got a labourer, what are you doing? This gobbo is going solid, and I'm not kidding you. I've not seen a lot of guys who can knock muck up properly, even labourers. It takes an experienced hottie to know how to knock up gear, and a lot of the time as well, if you're not strong enough, you'll just not knock it up as well. So I like, I'm pretty strong, pretty big. I can just fucking power through this gobbo when it's like stiff as fuck and get it just how I want it. Nice and creamy, nice and wet. It just took about 2 or 3 minutes to do maybe. And then this made it so he could just bring me, I always tell, a labourer or whoever it is, whether it's Jamie or my dad, just bring the soft stuff off the top. I don't want to be knocking it up on my board. That's harder than knocking it up in the tub. My dad never could ever knock gear up properly. He either made it like, it was either solid or it was like piss. And it does take some effort to knock gear up properly. Turning mortar over on the boards and stuff. I've had Jamie doing that, but a lot of the time, because I only work off 3 or 4 boards, it's not always possible, and sometimes as well, because I've obviously just been doing garages and stuff, you know, sometimes, you know, a lot of the time we could be just jointing the back instead of, you know, stood at my board, whereas I'd rather get the, you know, take 3 or 4 minutes off the trowel, get it perfect how I want it, and boom, back on it. You can see nice and creamy there, ready to use the rest of this gear. But obviously I was only knocking gear up because of the circumstance we're in on these days. And yeah, that was it guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I think I've got a good 10 minutes more footage, so I'm going to put some music on for you guys. Thanks so much for the support on the videos. If you've noticed adverts on my videos now, that's because I'm monetized. So, you know, I apologize for, you know, delaying you guys watching the video with an advert, but it helps me out massively. Allows me to get, you know, a little bit of a kickback for all my effort I put into the channel. I know I don't earn hardly anything from it, but, you know, every advert you watch counts, and, you know, over time it'll lead towards me being able to make better and better videos, getting better, you know, cameras, tripods, you know, just spending more time on the videos, really making them higher and higher quality. So I appreciate any of you guys who watch the ads, or even if you watch it for a few seconds, or when you start a video, go off and make a cup of tea or something, come back, pause the video, you know, it all helps just support me in a small way, to where, you know, it makes it somewhat, you know, it obviously isn't really worth me making videos, but, you know, I enjoy it, and it just gives me a little bit of you know, monetary support for all the effort I put in. So thanks so much for that. You know, I want to reached, you know, the amount of watch hours I did, or the amount of subscribers I did, without all the support from you guys. So I really appreciate it, especially for just watching bricklaying videos, something I do every day at work. So you know, it does have its does get sometimes boring and tedious watching through bricklaying footage, but, you know, I enjoy doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I enjoy it. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you on Sunday with another video.
Thought it was better to wallow and swallow my pride and admit that my life was feeling so hollow and I couldn't handle it. So I called a couple of friends and a caring specialist, and I talked through all of my problems till they started to shrink a bit. Nothing's easy, but you gotta believe me, you'll never truly be alone. It's okay to ask for help, don't need to fix it all by yourself. It's okay to find a friend to lean on and talk it out, talk it out. It's okay to ask for help instead of holding on to how you felt. So don't be afraid to go on and reach out. I know it sounds conflicting, but being sad can be addicting. Even when it's awful, still easier than committing. To face you might be missing, and do the harder work of fixing all of the broken pieces out of place. Oh, nothing's easy, but you gotta believe me, you'll never truly be alone. It's okay to ask for help, don't need to fix it all by yourself. It's okay to find a friend to lean on and talk it out, talk it out. It's okay to ask for help instead of holding on to how you felt. So don't be afraid to go on and reach out. I know you'll find someone who hears you. Oh, I know you'll find someone who helps you through the day. It'll soon be clear when you find someone who hears you. Find someone who loves the things you say. Oh, it's okay to ask for help. Don't need to fix it all by yourself. It's okay to find a friend to lean on and talk it out. Talk it out. It's okay to ask for help instead of holding on to how you felt. So don't be afraid to go on and reach out.
I don't know.